My clicker is officially donezo, apparently. Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back for another 1,000-Pound Sisters. I may get on some of you guys' bad side during this episode because Amy's getting on my nerves. I just have to call it like it is. I think that she has been babied so much that she has even carried this into adulthood. But we're going to go ahead and move on with the episode. So we pick up in the episode with Michael refusing to give Amy her debit card. Amy saying that she's not coming home until Michael starts being a better father because she can't do this alone. Michael admits to one of the reasons why he doesn't want her to leave is because he can't take care of both of the kids while she's gone. And it seems like Amy hasn't done this either because Amy struggles with one. So I don't think, as much as Amy's trying to make us feel like she's been taking care of these kids on her own, I do think to a certain extent, Michael did at times help with at least one of the kids. Amanda thinks that him taking care of both of the kids is part of being a dad, which it is. Michael says, I'm letting her go with you, so why are we still arguing about this? I don't understand how he's letting her do anything because she's a grown woman. I'm not married, so if you're married, you can correct me in the comments. But I think that there's something wrong here, that she has to ask permission to spend some time with her sisters. I'm all for you sharing with your significant other, like, hey, I'm going to go over to such and such house. Did you have anything planned or anything like that? But to get permission seems like it's a bit much for me. Tammy, while all this is going on, is still on the phone with the cops, even though at this point he said that she can go because she doesn't want to deal with it and she wants the cops there pronto. I do feel like Tammy doing that did eventually de-escalate the situation because when the cops show up, Michael does kind of switch his tone a little bit. Michael says, I'm going to give her cars as long as she comes back home. He wants to talk to her alone. Amanda then tells him, you're not going to be alone with her. I'm not saying that Amanda isn't right to protect her sister, but none of the other siblings are going back and forth with Michael. Misty isn't even really saying anything at all. And Tammy already let it be known that she's going to call the cops. Amy needs to learn how to speak up for herself. Amanda being her attack dog or pit bull or whatever it is that Amanda is trying to be. Let me not say pit bull because there are nice pit bulls out there. Amanda being the enforcer, let's call her that, isn't helping the situation. Amanda is too heavily involved with this and she's just really making it chaotic. So Amy is sitting on the dining room floor crying. She says that we're done. We're getting a divorce. Goodbye. He sits down with her and he says, you're acting like you don't have a problem, but I know that you're going to be mad about me leaving with my sisters the same way that you've been in the past, because every time I do something you don't want me to do, it causes a fight. She then says, what about the last time and the time before that and the time before that and the time before that? I don't know how long this has been going on because Amy has been known to be a liar. But I do believe that there is a bigger problem here and that her and Michael have had issues as far as him always wanting to be by her side. She says that she wants more interactions than just him. He says he doesn't want her to leave, but he's going to do better and he's not going to keep doing that. And she says she's done. Both Misty and Amanda are so stressed out, according to them, that they're now outside smoking cigarettes, even though we know that they told us in the previous episode that they have to be nicotine free for the surgery. This is the type of stuff that will end up making Amanda have to have a third surgery. Because if y'all only turn to food and cigarettes when they're stressed, what are you going to happen? What's going to happen after the surgery? Like, what are you going to turn to? Because you shouldn't be smoking at all, according to the doctors. they want you to stop smoking because of healing purposes and stuff like that. But they want it to be a permanent thing, not just for the surgery. Amanda claims that she's been doing good till today. We see the police officer pull up. Amanda tells him, my sister wants to leave with her 2 kids and her husband doesn't want her to. And he won't give her the debit card. He got in my face. This is Amanda talking, telling the officer that Michael got in her face and he's not letting her leave with her sister and her nephews, and she's not going anywhere until she can. Amanda got in his face, but Amanda changed the story for the officers. Now, Amanda, we're not going to sit there and act like you won't towering over him all up in his face and he didn't tell you to put your hands on him because you tried to punk him, basically. And she was eating him up verbally. So don't act like you're completely innocent, Amanda. So the officer walks in. Amy says that as soon as the officer walks in, Michael hands her the debit cards. The officer asks Amy to come outside. We don't see what that conversation is, but Amy comes back in and she says she's leaving with her kids. She's crying, saying that she loves him. This is the hardest thing that she has to do. She's shaking and stuff, claiming that she's having a panic attack. She doesn't know where she's going and how long she's going to be there, but she has to get out and leave. So it's the next day, and she's where exactly all of us knew she was going to be, which is at Tammy's. She's there because Amy needs a place and Tammy feels bad for her and the babies. Whereas I'm sitting here, I'm feeling bad for Tammy because Tammy doesn't need all of this unnecessary stress when she's just getting home. And even though Amy's been going through whatever Amy's been going through, I feel like it's kind of selfish on Amy's part to put this burden on Tammy. Amy says that all she did last night was hold Gage and cry, and she wonders if all of this is her fault. She's so lost. And Tammy says that it's not all your fault. You started being brainwashed by Michael. Amy feels like she's holding on because they didn't have a dad and she wants her kids to have a dad. I want to know when this all started because there's something that we're not being told. Because for Tammy to say that he's been brainwashing you, how long has this been a thing? There's so many things that's being left out. The way Tammy was talking, it alluded to the fact that this has been a problem before they even had the second child. So I don't quite understand why Amy would be struggling with one child and then and her husband and decide to have another. That children don't make situations easier. Tammy says that she doesn't have to make any drastic decisions at this moment because she can stay with her. Tammy just wants to support her because in the past, Amy has supported her. And I think that's really sweet of Tammy. Tammy means well. Tammy was at times a tyrant when it came to Amy and Michael. But this situation with the kids is a whole nother thing because it isn't like Amy has control. Amy has no control over Gage. Gage is running Amy, as evident by her telling him he can't go in this room and him falling out on the floor. Then he's running all over the house, throwing tantrums. She's in another room and nobody's watching him because all the adults are in this room. So is production watching him? Because why did you feel so comfortable to be in this area with your child that's a tyrant? Sorry, I'm going to call it like I see it. Running all over the place and not hearing a single no. Instead, she whines and she kind of begs him to not do things. It pains me because she's the reason why this child is the way this child is. Amanda comes over to do some facials with Amy. They compare the face masks to use condoms because at some point, everything with this family is going to be some type of innuendo. Amanda lets her know that whatever she decides, she's going to be there for her. She tells them that she's ready to walk away. She said that she's told him over and over again he needed to change, and he hasn't. Amanda lets her know that she knows different divorce attorneys that can handle it and that they'll be there to support her and the boys, and they'll want for nothing. Tammy said that Amy is the breadwinner, so Amy needs to get her money out of their joint account and create a new one with just her name on it. That is very smart considering the circumstances. She does need to put things in her name. She better hope that she doesn't have to give him alimony based on the way things are panning out. Tammy is still trying to prioritize her goals and her health, as well as be there for her husband and her sister. So I wonder how this is going to affect her in the long run. We later see Amy being taken to the bank by Amanda to get her money out of the joint account for her and the boys. The fact that she's doing all of this knowing that Michael doesn't work, I just don't know. I feel like this may bite her in the butt later on, but I can't say because I don't know. Different states have different laws and all those other things. She can take her money out. I just wonder if she's going to have to pay him. Amanda says that she didn't have a problem with Michael until he got possessive, saying that's his wife, that's his wife. And she wanted to say, well, she was my sister before she was your wife. I need Amanda to pipe down. Really, she's getting on my nerves a little bit with this whole Amy and Michael situation. We hear Amy saying that she wants to withdraw a lot of money. They go in the bank. She says to the teller, I want to withdraw a lot of money. And Amanda says, we're going to leave $1,000 in the account. She thanks her sister as they come out of the bank, says she couldn't do it without her being there. I need Amy to learn to stand on her own 2 feet and do things for herself. She made that whole statement years ago. I pay my bills. I'm grown. I pay my bills. I don't even remember how she said it. Tia, help me in the comments. But she made that statement, and she can act like she's grown, but Amy doesn't act like a grown person. Your husband, even though you have a joint account, was holding your cards. Why weren't you holding your cards? Even though you have a joint account, you brought your sister in there to just bring, like, what? Peace of mind, emotional support for you to just pull some money out of the account. Everything that Amy does involves other people. I know she can't drive, but your sister could have remained in the car while you did all of that. I just feel like she relies on her family too much. It's a couple days later. Chris and Tammy go to the doctor. Chris is aware of what would happen. Chris is aware of what happened with Michael. But he has not checked on his sister yet, which is weird to me. If I told my brother something like that, it wouldn't even be a matter of my brother waiting on a phone call. My brother would be in the car checking on me to see what's going on, even if we live several hours from each other. That's what would happen. So hearing Chris say that he hasn't even called to check on her yet makes me feel like, okay, is this not as serious as they're making it seem, or does Chris just not care? Tammy says she's unsure about her weight because she's been going through a lot of stress with leaving Caleb and having the kids and Tammy there. And when she's stressed like this, she eats unhealthy. Tammy walks into the doctor's office, and Dr. Smith immediately has a big smile across his face, and he tells her how amazing he looks while he embraces her and gives her a hug. I like Dr. Smith because we saw Dr. Proctor before, and I've always felt that Dr. Proctor was handsome and nice and all those things, but Dr. Proctor did drop her. Did he have a reason to? Yes. It made no sense for that long commute and all those other things, but here we have this doctor that basically saved her because Tammy was going down a dangerous path. And this doctor is who helped her by coming to visit her and encouraging her to go to rehab. So he wants to see that she's had 100-pound weight loss since the surgery. Tammy let Dr. Smith know she's married now, and she wants him to see Caleb, who has a similar story to hers. And he agrees to see him and hopes that, you know, he's a good influence on Tammy. So prior to surgery, Tammy was 534 pounds. She gets on the scale and she is now 420 pounds, and she hasn't been this weight since she was around 15 or 16. He wants to see her to be at 318 pounds by her year mark. This surgery really does make you lose weight significantly quickly because you really can't eat much. He said it's harder as time goes on. You can ask your brother, but keep doing what you're supposed to do. Before Chris gets on the scale, just seeing the different things that he's done, how he eats, the way his wife looks, I already knew he wasn't going to meet his goal, but I didn't realize that he really wasn't going to meet his goal. So, the last time he got on the scale, he was 299 pounds, which was 6 months ago. Now he gets on and he weighs 300 pounds, so he gained a pound. Dr. Smith thinks he's not following the rules and he's become complacent, that plateaus are common. So now he needs him to work to get the extra 150 off. When you see how much meat they eat and the type of meat that they eat, like he was sitting there at Tammy's party, he made pork and beef and all these other things. And we know that one of the things that they're supposed to do is only eat a certain amount of ounces of meat, and it's supposed to be lean. So these are little things that we already know he's not doing right, and this is what we see on camera. You can't expect to get skin removal surgery when you eat the way that he does, and you've already been told by the doctor that he wants you to lose 50 pounds 6 months ago. You're not doing healthy food options, and you're really not putting in the hard work. So it's the next day. Well, we don't know if it's the next day. It's some days later. Misty, Amanda, Chris, and Tammy go to the gym to work out. Amanda heard from the internet that if she sweats enough, she can get the nicotine out of her system. Tammy and Chris are there because they got to lose more weight. Chris has them put on trash bags to help them sweat more. The trash bags have to be long because they were all the way down to Amanda's shins, and she is tall. So they have a trainer that works them out, and Tammy is killing it. They finish the workout. They agree that they need Amy to get there too. Chris then talks about Amy and wants to make sure that Tammy and Amy are getting along and that it's not putting too much on Tammy having Amy there. If they get approved for the surgery, we find out Chris is going to be going with Misty and Amanda for their surgery, which means it's just going to be Amy and Tammy. And I said that's going to be interesting because neither of them can drive. We then have Caleb. It's been 2 weeks since Tammy has left rehab and Caleb is missing her. Like he told us at last episode, his diet has gone to hell because he's an emotional eater. We see him get on on FaceTime to talk with Dr. Smith. He wants to do surgery for himself and for Tammy. He weighed in at around 500 pounds, we're told, before Tammy left, which was 2 weeks ago. And he gets on the scale and he is now 537.6 pounds. So that man put on 37 pounds in 2 weeks. The rehab that is supposed to help people allow this man to put on that much weight, which is why I said before that I question what type of facility that this is, that they do not monitor these people closely. It kind of seems like they're an insurance grab because these people should be meeting goals. I keep thinking about Dr. Now and how Dr. Now would have got him down like already. You've been there for a year. He would have been like easily 200 pounds down fooling around with Dr. Now. Dr. Smith senses the disappointment, but he tells him don't lose sight of the goal. Tammy was at the facility and she still managed to lose weight with the same type of food that's available to him so he can do it. He wants him to be at 500 for the surgery. So if Caleb had been at least maintaining, at this point, he could have had the surgery. He then tells him that after the surgery, that trach will need to stay in for at least another 6 months. That is something that they're going to have to take their time to remove. And he is notably disappointed, but he has to do his part. He says that he has plans to have a family and travel and do all these things with Tammy from hundreds of miles away. It's hard to do that, and I get that. But Caleb is one of those people who makes excuses for everything and isn't willing to do the work. You want to be with that woman. You should have done everything in your power to be with that woman. And unfortunately, he never got another opportunity to be with her outside because if I recall, he passed in the rehab facility. So back to Tammy and Amy. Before Amy's arrival, Tammy's house was notably clean. Now I'm seeing kids' toys all over the place. And if I was Tammy, Amy would have to put some of that stuff in a room. She called Michael yesterday and said she's done. She wants a divorce. She just needs her sister's support right now. She does not want to go back to the house. I get that she needs the support from her family, but she is relying, as I said, too much on the people around her to get her through. And we already know that at this point, this is a spoiler. I say again, this is a spoiler. My son showed me the other day, because he knows I review the show, that on TikTok, Amy is in a relationship with another man already. So did Amy even give herself a chance to be alone? Probably not, because I don't think Amy wants to be alone. Tammy says having Amy and the kids there is a lot. She thought she'd be at home with her husband, not them. And she's tired because she hasn't been sleeping as much since Caleb left. Her environment feels off. It's a big adjustment. Like, think about it. You went from being at a place where you were taken care of to now having to take care of yourself. And now you're having to help take care of your sister's kids who are bad. Tammy said, the only thing I need you to do is to clean up after your kids and yourself. And as she says this, Amy starts crying, saying that she thinks she's doing the best that she can. Why is Amy crying? Because she told her to clean up. Amy has always been a mess, and you're being a mess at someone else's home. You can clean up behind your kids. One of your kids is old enough to help you clean up. The song is clean up, clean up. Sing the song and have him clean up. He can walk, he can clean up. We then get to Caleb, who calls Tammy, and she's wearing his favorite cardigan, and he mentions it. She tells her that Michael and Amy are getting a divorce, and right now the kids and Amy have been staying with her. She's trying to be there for Amy, but she's stressed out. He tells her to breathe. He thinks that it's actually good that they're there because Tammy is not alone. And I'm sure that in the beginning it felt that way too to Tammy. But when you see like how Gage is, and I couldn't do it. It would mess with my nerves. He lets her know that he talked to Dr. Smith, that he has to get down to 500 pounds, and then he'll be comfortable with giving him the surgery. She finds out that when he did the weigh-in, he was 537 pounds, and she immediately puts her head down. Then she tells him, then he tells her that the trach has to stay in. She says it sucks and it bothers her that he's been backsliding, but because he's so sensitive, she has to be careful with what she says, and she can't really say what she wants to say. She says, you promised me that you wouldn't sit in your room all day long. You know, I wanted you to hang out with the boys and keep your mind preoccupied and do things to make sure that you don't backslide. And his response is he eats his feelings. She says, okay, well, do something other than eat your feelings. Find some video games, do something. And he's like, I don't want to play video games. I want my wife. He needs to do what he's supposed to do. And it's unfortunate because, as I said earlier, he's never going to get out of there. Now Tammy is feeling guilty and sad and overwhelmed and stressed because at this point she's trying to fix everything for everyone when she needs to just be focusing on herself. But she's finding that she has to be strong for Caleb and Amy and the kids. And I just want Tammy to be strong for herself. I feel sorry for Tammy because for years Tammy has been bound. Tammy has been in this oversized body that has limited her to the point that simple things like being able to sit in a chair in the car excited her. Being able to get her own groceries excited her. Actually being able to live alone without her sister being directly next to her excited her. Tammy was looking forward to experiencing this new phase of life, and she can't fully enjoy it because she has her sister and her children that she has not been able to manage as much as she tries to act like she's been doing it all on her own. I don't really think Amy's been doing that great of a job. Y'all can, you know, say what you want to say in the comment section. It's fine. But just based off of what I'm seeing, where every single episode we see Gage throwing tantrums and falling out and not listening, and Amy not having any control, and rather than disciplining him, putting him in timeout, putting him behind a little gate, something, all she does is cry. Get some therapy and get your act together as far as parenting. Do we need to call nanny 911? What was that show with the nanny that came in from overseas and helped teach them how to parent their children? We need her to help her. Anyways, please like the video, comment, and subscribe. And until next time.